Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. Hello and welcome to Performance Excellence, unlocking the best from your team. So, what's all the finger pointing? I don't really know. Excuse my shiny head. It is now officially autumn and it means the lights have to be on and therefore my shiny head is on show. But anyway, thank you for joining me on today's session around performance excellence, which is a subject that's very close to my heart because it's massively important for businesses to ensure that we unlock the best from our people and get them performing highly. Interestingly, one of my colleagues once said, as he was an operations director for a business I worked in sort of 10, 15 years ago, and it does resonate with me. He said to me, the success of my job is to get you to perform at least a level above your current pay scale. And if I can get every member of staff performing above their current pay scale, then we're going to have a really successful business. That's fascinating, actually. I hadn't even thought that I was going to share that, but it's interesting that it came to mind. So it feels prevalent. So performance is a complex thing. There's podcasts about it, great podcasts for people to listen to. The High Performance Podcast, I really recommend it. But I think that I've cracked the scientific formula for performance, and that is direction, skills, and motivation equal performance. So what is direction? Well, direction is purpose and mission of a business. It's the vision and the values of that business and the way it communicates and leads the people in the business. So that's the key thing, number one, getting the direction right, getting the leadership right, getting the purpose and the mission right, and getting people engaged in what you're doing. The second thing is around skills. So that might be a technical skill stack within the team. So they've got the technical competencies. It might be the leadership skill stack within your leaders and your managers. And then the other thing around skills is around having the emotional intelligence to be able to get the best out of people and to be able to get the best out of yourself and self-leadership as well. And then, so that kind of is skills. And then you've got motivation, which is around understanding the really important relationship between our achievement motivators, our growth motivators as people, and the relationship as well, and getting that energy right around the way the people are motivated in your business to work and getting that absolutely right. So a really interesting melting pot of ideas there. So let's start with direction, which is obviously a key part of getting good performance. And what I mean by that is, if you were to consider a football team, for example, I use a football analogy because it's something that's close to my heart. So if you use a football analogy, a good example, my hero, Sir Alex Ferguson, he was a really great leader. He led at the pinnacle of his sport for 26 years. And he was one who was very keen on making sure that there was a direction, there was a set of standards that were expected, a set of behaviors. And essentially he had a promise to his team and people that worked with him of the expectations that you would expect from doing business or working with him in that team environment. So when we think about direction, that's what I'm talking about, because at the moment, Manchester United, who Alex Ferguson was the leader of for so many years, are in a really dire state. And part of that is because the organizational leadership and direction is all wrong, and it's not working for them at the moment. And therefore the performance, ultimately the underpinning performance, is poor. And there's lots of football analogies. There's other teams in the Premiership at the moment that have got fantastic examples of leadership, and the performance is really good. And that's because the direction and the leadership are really, really good. They're really aligned. So what are the key elements of that direction? Well, you've got the governance, the showing as an organization that we care about the people. So that is a vital part of direction. And then it's purpose. So sharing with the team and with the people in the business and the organization, whatever it may be, to drive performance, it's got to be really important that people understand the purpose behind why they do what they do. What is the purpose behind what you do and what it is you're trying to achieve? And then we start to look at the mission and the vision around what's the goals, what are the goals that we're setting, and how we engage in people and getting motivated to be able to put some energy behind them and do their best work and get the best out of them. So mission and vision, really, really important. And then the values, which are the behaviors, the expectation that we have of the way in which things are done around here, and the culture that then creates through the communication and the leadership and the way that things are done. So, internal communication is vital. Newsletters, sharing statistics, sharing data around the business, making sure that we've got really open channels of communication and that there's an accessibility around the leadership in the business, and the day-to-day management and KPIs are all achievable. They're things that people can do and are engaged with and wanting to push forward. So that's a bit around direction, which is a really vital part of leading and making sure that performance is underpinned in the right way. And then the second area, so I think of it as like a triangle. You've got direction at the top, making sure our north is in the right direction for the organization. And then the next one is the skills, and the skills of the people, making sure that people have got the right set of skills for their role, and that the business has got a diverse skill set, or the organization has a diverse skill set to ensure that all of the different areas of performance are effectively met by the people in the business, and that we've got people who are developing and nurturing and recognizing that those skills are important, and developing them along the way. Steve Bartlett, in his book Happy Sexy Millionaire, talks about what's called a skills stack, which is essentially a set of skills, and that somebody doesn't necessarily need to be perfect. They don't need to be 100 at every one, but they might have 80 of this and 80 of that and 80 of that, and that skill set is a perfect recipe for someone to be able to fulfill the requirements of their role really well. So skills are really important. And then I talk about people being able to fail safely. So understanding that failure is a learning mechanism, and it's a skills mechanism, and it's an opportunity for development. So this kind of aligns a little bit with the direction and the leadership, but also around skills, around nurturing those analytical skills and problem solving skills to be able to overcome challenges. And then we've got things like personal development, technical skills, having a lifelong commitment to learning. One of the things that I found when I was a young person and I went to school was that it felt like learning ended as school finished. You got to 16 or 18 or whenever you finished your formal education, and that was the end of it, right? But actually the best organizations are the ones that nurture and really nurture sort of ongoing skills development within their businesses and organizations, where it's really important that people practice, they try new things, they can fail safely, and they can start to develop some of those things.
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. Flagship Partners help their clients become safer, greener, and greater through a range of consultancy and training services. We offer audits through to risk assessments, contracts through to support with managing your culture, all the way from mandatory training through to management training as well. So if you need any support, please do get in touch with Flagship Partners today.
And then what's really important is that we then further nurture skills. So as people develop through the organization and come into leadership roles, that we develop them as leaders, because one of the issues we have is that often the people who are technically the best at their role and technically most capable will often be sort of thrusted into leadership and management and supervisory type positions, and we don't tend to then, some organizations won't then nurture the skills that are required to be able to deliver that. So it's really important that we start to mentor and coach and have those sorts of schemes in place. In fact, great high performing, unlocking the best from your team, having a mentor program in place is a fantastic opportunity to help unlock that potential within your team. Because if people have got people who are more experienced or above them within the organization that can help support them but aren't necessarily directly responsible for the outcomes, they can help coach and support them. And actually that improves both parties, because the person who's mentoring and supporting is getting good development as well, because they're getting challenged, they're getting asked questions. Why do we do this way, and how do we do that? And they're nurturing those skills, but also they're helping bring a colleague and team member along with them. So I really recommend setting that up, and then also understanding the skills around getting people in the right mindset to be able to work, not just technically and actually and physically, but also making sure that people are of the right mindset. And that kind of leads me on to understanding, that ultimately people need to be able to think, there's fundamental human skills that are really important. I was speaking to a good colleague and business associate of mine, John, recently, about the important skills that underpin all of the problem solving and the critical and lateral thinking, fundamental human skills that we need to try and nurture to be able to make great commercial decisions, evolve commercially very well, and making sure that there's skills around the behavioral element, but also around the fundamental, actually doing stuff, problem solving, getting things right, having high standards, and being able to overcome challenges and problems. They're also something that needs to be nurtured as well. Creating process, facing up to the issues that might be present to be able to come up with a good solution. Really, really vital skills to be able to drive performance. Okay, so lots of things to think about from a skills point of view. So that's element number 2. Element number 1, direction, including leadership and those kinds of things. Number 2, skills. 2 key elements of performance. And then the final one is around the energy, around the motivation, around getting people engaged with solving a problem or delivering a solution, which is what your organization is, or creating an outcome, for example. It's about the energy that's put in. Just going back to a football analogy, the beauty of football is that any team can beat any team on any given day. And sometimes it isn't just the skill that's the magic mix. Sometimes a team can be outperformed through sheer grit and determination and effort. And that is why motivation and energy is such a vital part of performance, even in an organizational or business or commercial context, making sure that people are engaged with getting things right. So sometimes it could be a real challenge understanding what motivates people. If you ask them, well, what motivates you at work? Well, getting paid more money. But actually, studies prove that that's not the case. So you just need to look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If people haven't got stability and security and food and warmth and shelter and those kinds of things, then the rest of it doesn't even come into the equation yet. So one of the things that we need to think about is how we're motivating and how we're supporting the people in our organization to ensure they bring their energy and they bring their best work and they bring all the skills that we equip them with to head in the direction that we're going. So ultimately, motivation is a really complex thing. One of the things that I do regularly is motivational mapping with my clients, and that's a really, really vital tool for managers and leaders and for individuals themselves to have that feedback around understanding what it is that motivates them to do what they do. And some people will be motivated by a range of different things: relationship factors, achievement factors, and growth factors. And by understanding and being able to support someone in the right way really enables you to get the best out of them. So a motivational map is absolutely vital for all the people in your team. And sometimes I've known companies that have done away with their employee engagement surveys. They've just focused on doing motivational maps because the outcomes that it creates and the importance of supporting good performance is via that motivation. And what happens is when you have a team of people and they all have different motivations, being able to sort of understand that and start to enable leaders and managers to be able to understand what their team dynamics are from a motivational concept. It's quite scientific and it's quite important and invaluable once you have that level of data to be able to work with. So if that interests you, then do get in touch, because I'd love to map anyone that is listening and is interested in investing in that. And there's lots of things that companies and organizations do to destroy motivation. For example, poor annual appraisals, not having regular one-to-ones, taking away benefits without really explaining why that might be the case, and introducing or having accepted practices which are then sort of taken away with no real reason or no real rhyme or understanding to them. That can be quite tricky. Or treating people in a blanket way when there's clearly differences in performance. That can be really tricky as well. For example, there's a decision made that the team or the organization are performing badly, so we're going to treat everyone in the same way, when actually the team might be performing badly because one or maybe two people are letting the rest of the team down. Now, how motivational is that if you treat everybody the same way? It's important to make sure you pinpoint the challenges and make sure that you focus on those, and don't drag people down who are having a positive impact on an organization, for example. So motivation is a really, really important thing. And if that's something you struggle to understand, definitely seek advice. I'm more than happy to have a call with anyone who's listening to this or watching this to talk about motivation, because that is a vital and fundamental part of achieving performance. So if you imagine the triangle, I'll draw the picture. You've got direction at the top, and you've got skills, and then you've got motivation and energy. Absolutely vital to be able to advance performance within your organization, whether it's a sports team, whether it's a business. The principles are much the same, and to get people on board with a vision to understand what that is. And as a leader, it's our calling to influence and build trust and develop that performance moving forward. Anyway, I hope that's been useful. I hope it's been interesting. And if you would like to have more of a chat about that, then do give me a shout. Thank you for listening. Please do engage if you are watching live, or if you're listening on a Half Dozen Things podcast. Please do subscribe. Please do share it with your friends. And if you've got any feedback for me or any questions, please do get in touch. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel, and my business, Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.